Hey, it's Cassidy at the Poets Corner here with another author interview. And today I'm excited to be speaking with YA and fantasy author DL Blackburne. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing really good. I'm really excited to talk to you about your books and your book to film adaptation. But first, I have some quick get to know you questions. So, where are you from?
I'm actually from Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut. I've lived all around the country, but yeah, I'm a New Englander, born and raised.
Oh, that's so cool. What are some other places you've lived?
I've lived out, and I've actually lived in South Carolina, Surfside Beach. I lived there for about 5 years on the beach in a small beach town down there in
Oh,
South Carolina,
that's
and I also have a little ranch out west in
oh,
New Mexico. So I've gone there a couple times only, but I'll be going there more in the future, you know, to settle down a little bit. I'll be bi-coastal, but here and there. Yeah.
okay, nice. I was gonna say, so do you like the East
That,
Coast
that's
better?
yeah. So that's pretty much the three corners of the U.S. And I spent a lot of summers in Chicago too, growing up.
Nice.
Staying with my grandparents and stuff. And the only place I haven't gone to live yet is the Northwest, which is Seattle, which is my actually I like rainy weather, and that's one of my favorite cities.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna get out there very soon. But I really so I've got all the corners covered in Central, but not all the corners. Seattle, I want to get there, and even Vancouver, I want to check out there too.
Yeah,
So
I've heard Vancouver is beautiful. Well, especially if you've lived on the beach, it's like, I mean, what gets
yeah.
better than that?
Yeah, I had a lot of visitors when they came to see me. They would be like, "I know you guys go to the beach a lot," which it was so close that I actually didn't. You take a left to the beach, where I was taking a right all the time, heading to work or taking the kids to school.
Yeah.
I could see the water, and it was kind of, it's the human thing. When you're close to something, you take it for granted.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
sure. Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool that you've lived everywhere, experienced a lot of the United States. I live in Las Vegas, so it's like that big city kind of atmosphere. And I lived in Pennsylvania like 2 years ago in this like little tiny small town, and I loved that. It was so amazing. The small
yeah, yeah.
vibe.
Yeah, it is. It's good to have that, small town, and then you can bounce to the city.
Yeah.
It is. I like variation. I like variation.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Sweet. Well, what first sparked your love for writing?
It's almost like a new car smell. I like the smell of art stores, the art supplies, and books. I
Yeah.
mean, this may sound weird to people, but I don't care. I like books. I like the smell. I like when I read them, and I was inspired by just reading other authors and stuff. Growing up when I was little, I got fascinated by the pictures, the colorful pictures that
Oh,
when my parents got me books and stuff. And
yeah.
I always thought, I was like, man, I looked at the illustrations and stuff, and I was just like trying to copy them and draw them.
Oh,
And then, here we are for almost 40 years, well, 40 years later, and I write them now.
oh, that is so cool. A full
Yeah.
circle moment. I love that for you.
Yeah.
That's so great. So, who are some authors or what are some books that have shaped your style of writing?
R.L. Steen, I like his stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, I like R.L. Steen stuff. Um, the Diary of Wimpy Kid books, that series,
Yeah.
which is, uh, I just like the simplicity of them, where you can kind of relate to those. And then I guess I it's gonna be sacrilegious, but I didn't read the Harry Potter books, but I know they're big, they're huge. I know, huge.
What?
I'll get on it. Maybe I'll get on it. But I do respect all those. I see all these other writers, R. Martin, George R. Martin, and all these different writers. So I kind of like to study their craft because they're the best at it. And I also got to mention Tommy DePaulo. because he actually gave me my actually my graduation award, and he kind of
Oh,
got me in that mode of writing as well. So
oh, that's so cool. For your high school graduation?
yeah, for my high school graduation. Yeah,
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure you read a lot of books, but you said you also have kids, so I'm sure you've read to them a lot too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have. I certainly have. Yeah,
Oh, that's
they
really
they really like the goosebump books.
Oh,
That
yeah, those are good ones.
uh, they were kind of into that. That off kilter type of they like to be scared a little bit, not too much.
Yeah.
You know.
Just like the little bit of thrill, but not too scary.
Yeah, yeah.
I totally get it. I'm the same way, honestly. That's great. So, when you're not writing, what are you doing?
When I'm not writing, I do art. I like cycling too. I'm into bikes. I'm into art. I'm an amateur cook. I play around with recipes.
Sweet.
There's not really, I'm doing more traveling as well. Like trying to see stuff. Um, Photography is one thing that I'm kind of now having an eye for. But like with anything, you want to study it, and I don't really like to do stuff and not to do it pretty good. So I, I try to study other people, and I can appreciate photography and stuff like that. Just enjoying the sights and stuff, sights and sounds of the world.
For sure. Well, and I'm sure that's great inspiration for your stories as well. And nature is like one of the best inspiration for any writer.
Yeah, certainly it is. It is.
Yeah, that's really good. And a lot of artists also, I feel like, have multiple outlets for art. So with whether that's writing, art, and photography. So it makes sense that you have multiple avenues to create
Yeah,
creative.
yeah. I mean, it helps to be around a lot of other creative types,
For
and
sure.
I have I have some friends that are musicians, and I always looking at them and what they do, and I'm in awe because I can't read music, I can't write, or I can't sing, and to see them do what they do, I love it, and I just love it. I can't do anything with music. That's why I painted a lot. A lot of my paintings were music based. Like I did a series called Musicana because it's something that I'm just infatuated with. I love live music. Uh, all genres. If it's got a nice tune or something to it, I love it.
Oh, that's so great. Do you listen to music while you design, while you paint or and
Oh
s-
yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. It's almost like it puts you kind of in a mode,
Yeah.
um, and it'll keep you in that mode for a while. And I'll go through albums and cycle it through, like wow, and start it again or something like that. And 10 hours later, you've got a portion of your work done.
Oh, wow, that's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Neat. So, tell me about your recent fantasy release, Sons of the Severn, the Flower, Feather, and the Flame.
It was a book that I had thought about, I guess, years ago, and I was always wanting to make it, but I was kind of in the middle of Office Pool and some other projects I was doing, and it was almost like this idea gnawing away in my brain. It wouldn't leave me alone until I let it out. So I was, as I'm doing other projects, I think I was finishing up the third Office Pool, the last one of the series. I think when I was in the last few chapters of Office Pool, I had came up with some new ideas, and I started to write a first few portions of Sons of the Severn, a lot of the portions of it, and I ended up putting a bow on Office Pool series, and then I was able to finally focus on that one. And it was a big departure from the young adult type of genre,
Yeah.
going into like this fantasy one. And I want this one to be a little more reality based because Office Pools, it's a world of talking pens, and it's a very fanciful world. And this one I kind of wanted to ground it in realism. Uh, and I made it at a point that when yes, there's dragons and there's castles and stuff, but I wanted to separate this one from a lot of those books that are out there. When I was naming a dragon, right, I wanted him to be. I gave him characteristics that are like almost like dogs or any other animal. I didn't. I tried to tamp down the mystique of them,
Yeah.
and I put a limited flying radius on them, and that like the females when pregnant they could only breathe fire, you know. So there's limitations to them,
Yeah.
um, and they had a short lifespan, so that they're not these uber mystical creatures, and that kind of had them where they could still stay below the humans, where the humans could still lord over them because they were a part of the story, not the actual story. I want the characters and the dynamics between the Severn provinces to take the forefront, to be center stage, and of the Severn provinces, the three daughters actually take our front and center, and I think some of the reviews coming in, people are seeming to like it, which is all a writer could actually hope for. So I'm glad that they do like it.
Oh, that's sweet. Can you tell me a little bit more about the story, the summary of it?
The world is called the Severn, and then there's the provinces, and yeah, there are seven of them. And the premise of it is you have the three daughters who are under their father's the ruler of the world, and he's aged out, and he's looking for succession to the throne. And now there's the Severn, the Veriscript law, which is the law of the book of the land, the law of the land. The king and queen, they have up to three chances to fulfill the throne. So if they actually have two daughters, they have up to a third time to get a son. And if they fail in having a son a third time, then the next house, if they have a son, they take the throne.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah. So they had the most unfortunate of luck because the queen ended up having triplet girls.
Oh my gosh. All on the first try.
Yes, so now they had to find a way to kind of circumvent this snafu, and they ended up coming up with a law where they lived in a walled-in city, and they said, you know what, we're going to raise my sons and keep it as a secret. Now, to keep it as a secret, they had to get everybody aboard inside the city of Zevero, and a lot of these people they were on board at first, but some who didn't really like the king, they thought they could use their knowledge of them not being real sons, leak out, and sell it.
Yeah.
But the right hand of the king devised a plan. He came to the king and said, you know, we need to have people who inside the city walls and at court that can make sure the word doesn't get out. So they came up with a group of people called the Reach that were able to go everywhere and follow these people no matter where they went. And for 16 years, they kept it a secret. And
Dang.
like any secret, it eventually gets out. And that's when the other houses found out about this deception, and they make a run at the crown. And
Oh.
by this time, he had his daughters trained up very well, and his wife. I'm giving away the whole book, but there's more details to it. And it's his wife. You know, she always wanted sons, and she felt that she wanted to give her husband some sons, and she struggled with that a bit. So there's a lot more to that, but that's the basic premise of it. It's going to be a trilogy series, so there's more that unfurls to it.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, it sounds so good. I love it. I love all the twists and oh my gosh, it seems like such an exciting read.
it was fun to write. It actually was fun to write. There was one time I wrote something, and in my mind, I was because when I write stuff, I always see it on a screen. I picture it as a
Oh,
movie.
that's awesome.
And when I was writing one part, I was thinking about the famous actor. Is it Jeremy Irons? Him saying the part. His voice was ringing in my ear when I was writing. I was like, I saw him saying this part. It's just one of those things with me. I was just like, I
Oh,
wish he could say this back to me because I would have loved it. It would have been cool.
well, maybe you can make it into a movie one day and get that for
I
me.
Yeah, I'm working on it because I had the same feeling about with Office Pool, and a couple people had expressed interest in it, but they wanted some changes and stuff, and I was kind of like, I could make this.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those things, just like I just kind of see something, try it, go for it, whatever.
Oh, I love that. Well, you need to, especially as a writer, as a creator, as an artist, like bringing your visions to life. And like you said, like getting reviews and having people like have positive feedback for it, it is like the best feeling in the world. And like you were telling me before about the dragons, how you wanted to like put limitations on them, it makes so much sense because like your stories seem very like character heavy, talking about these different like groups and you know, I totally get how you'd want the focus to be on the main story and on the plot and how that all flows together. That's really awesome. I love it.
So thank you. It's when you create something, you're creating out of the love of it, and then you hope that when you're creating, you hope it's always a hope that other people will appreciate it, and when people do appreciate it, you're joyed, you're pleased about that. So I do. It is cool to get positive feedback. It encourages you to keep going and trust other crazy ideas you got.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so what inspired you to write the story?
I have a love of that period, that time period. I like the feudalistic age. Seemed like a simpler time, but also brutal. It was brutal back then too. I'm not disillusioned about that. But I like something about stone walls and uh, uh, wooded forest and grassy knolls, and I like all that stuff. I really like that, and I like the dynamic between coming up with something with family, like a tug of war between families. I enjoyed Game of Thrones as well. That was kind of like I enjoyed that, Lord of the Rings, all those series like that. I really enjoy them. I said if I could get my story to be a tenth of that, then I'd be pleased, And hopefully that I've gotten it to there. The reviews have been positive so far for the people who've read it, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congrats on the release, and I'm really happy for you. It sounds like an amazing story. I'm going to buy it and read it because I'm super intrigued. So I can't wait to
Well,
read
thank
it,
you.
and I'll let you know what I think too.
Oh, okay, awesome. That'd be awesome.
Sweet. Well, I love all your character art that you have on your Instagram pages promoting your new release. So, did you do the cover design and the character art for your books?
I did. Me being a minimalist myself, with my books, I kind of have them just like pretty much give away little as possible. It's almost a book covers like a storefront. And I
Yeah.
want people to kind of like, well, what's going on in there? And they walk in, you
Yeah.
know. And it's the same thing with books. I mean, yes, I run a risk of people judging it by its cover, but for the people who don't and want to delve into it further and be like, well, what is Sons of Severn? What is that? And then they look in, or they're like, what is Office Pool? What is that? And they look in. Hopefully, they're presently surprised. So I kind of trust the reader and their curiosity kind of delve in to see more. I know the old cliche about judging a book by its cover, but I'm always I guess I'm a contrarian in that nature. The rebellious artist in me. I kind of want to buck against the system.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I love your covers. They are like I totally get what you're saying, like the intrigue, kind of the storefront to get people more like into it. I totally see that.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So I understand you also released your YA trilogy called Office Pool with all within the past 4 years. Having a trilogy is an amazing accomplishment. I know one that every writer wants to have. So congrats on that. That is so amazing. So tell me more about what readers can expect from the series.
I think readers will unexpectedly connect with objects like pens and pencils that they didn't really think they would. I mean, I remember working with the animators. We would zoom back and forth when we were making the actual movie, and they'd be like, "Yeah, we have pens. We call them Artie and and Stanley, and I was just like, wow, that's kind of cool. You
That is
know, I was kind of taken back by that. I was just like, but it meant that they were connecting with the characters as they were making, and I think viewers or readers, hopefully, they have the same impact. It's kind of universal. From toddlers to adults, we all have we from crayons to pencils to paintbrushes, stylus. We're using one of them at some point, you know.
yeah, for sure. Well, tell me a little bit more about what the story is about.
Okay, the story is about a slacker, Big Pen. His name was Artie Bickerson, and he he was just on a regular desktop, and he was kind of just with his buddies who are highlighters, Lenny and Tang, and they just live on the desktop, and they're kind of I had their age period, their ages around late teens, early 20s. I mean, around that age, I was a drifter too, and they were just kind of going through life. And he comes under the wing of Stan Sharpley, which is a Sharpie marker, who was he was an autograph pen of Todd Grady, which is I used a quarterback because they're kind of superstitious, and I wanted to have it the carrier, which is the human in the background, be a little interesting. And he used him as an autograph marker. And Stanley brought him along with him to become an autograph marker to motivate him, And as he motivated him, he was able to travel different places throughout, see different levels in the office in the organization. And he came across, just got off that desktop. And when he got off the desktop, he ended up in a corporate office, executive, the upper offices, floors, and he saw a stylus pen called Clairvoyant. And she was like, he fell for that pen, that stylus pen. And it's a kind of a contrast between an old big pen and a new sleek stylus marker. And he fell for her, and he became motivated to be better. And the story kind of goes from there. And she was interested in his world, floors below on the lower desktop, and he was, not he was not confident at first, and he becomes confident, and they fall for each other. And she was intrigued with his world because she only wrote on glass tablets,
Mhm.
and she wanted to experience his desktop where there's paper, there's books, there's staplers, and whereas on her desktop it was a see-through glass desktop, which he freaked out when he saw that, and you could see right through to the floor.
Yeah.
And it was just the dynamic was it's just things that were you have the crossing of two worlds,
Yeah.
and the series kind of circles around that where the upper floors want to phase out the old material, office materials,
Yeah.
and it was a clash. It was a clash, and I think there's a lot of different twists and turns in there, and each utensil has a personality, whereas his best friends, which are the markers, they're very cheerful because they're bright highlighters, bright. They try to keep the morale up,
Yeah.
and I kind of looked at the instruments and tried to make a personality around what they actually were.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool and so creative. I love it.
Well, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's awesome. So, I understand that your trilogy, The Office Spool, has since been made into a movie, and you've won several awards in different film festivals because of this project. So, how long did it take to make your books into a movie, and what was the movie making process like?
It was interesting. It was an interesting movie making process because we had started in COVID during the COVID
Oh
months.
my gosh.
Yeah, way back in those days, right, with the maskings. But it started off hard at first because when I was working with the animators, they were going off the book, and they were we would Zoom weekly, and they would go over the storyboard and stuff, and they weren't really grasping the concept at first. The first, I think, 3 weeks, and by the fourth week, they were kind of I was like, well, are they getting it? Are they into it? And I think that Friday that I met with a friend of mine now, Karam, we were reviewing it, the storyboard. He's like, any changes, Rory? Any changes? And I was actually like, no, actually no changes, because there were a lot in the beginning, but they had got it at that time. They had bought into the story, and I noticed a change when they did the dynamic between Claire and Artie. They were kind of pulling for it. Not to say that they that animation team was great, but they really bought into it, because they were like pens. I don't know. they were, but they got it after that. I believe, and my hats are off to those guys for sticking with me and the idea.
Oh, that's really cool. Well, I'm sure obviously as a writer, but also as an artist, like how cool was that to see your work turn into a film? Like that's every writer's dream. That's so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I'm writing something, everything I write, I always see it as a film. Kind of weird like that. And even the book that I actually wrote, Office, for the whole series,
Yeah.
because my brother's he's actually a writer, and he read it. He's like, Rory, why'd you write this way? Because I wrote it almost like a script. He's like,
Oh,
why'd you write it like this? And I said, because I'm an artist. I'm not. That was my first book I wrote, Office for Orientation. I said, because I'm an artist, not a writer. I said, I'm learning the craft. I said, I wanted I wrote it like that because I down the road wanted to be adapted into a movie,
nice.
and it was actually easier to do it that way for when I was working with the animation team, because it can kind of just go from it, right? It's actually the way it is, and I got it in a lot of reviews and a lot of feedback from people who read it. They actually thought it was a nice read. That way, which worked out. It worked out. I kind of went with my gut, and I'm kind of glad that I did.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. It all worked together. That's amazing. So, did you help? I know you said you had a illustration team, but did you help with any of the illustrations for the movie? And how many people were involved in the collaboration?
I I think with the team, they had about 15 people in the art department, 12 to 15, something like that. I it was in there at that range. Um, and I did, in terms of the illustrations and the animations. I drew the characters. I drew the characters and I submitted it to them, and they kind of brought it to life. And that was very good, because although they were moving in my head, to actually see them on the screen moving, and uh, putting putting it all together, because it is a collaborative effort, and they did a good job with bringing what's bouncing around in here out to the world. And the people who've seen it so far in the film festivals are enjoying it, so that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, where can we watch the film? Is it up on YouTube?
Right now, they're currently in the film festival circuit, and then I guess after they're done, we'll work on distribution and stuff like that for them. And the goal is to get them out to YouTube or Hulu or any of those streaming platforms and stuff. I mean, I'm going to go to a screening pretty soon, just to see it up there on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's what actors do it for. They do it to see themselves up on a silver screen, and I guess in a roundabout way, I do the writing and stuff like that to see it kind of up there, and cool.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So, what has been your favorite part about sharing your stories with the world and becoming an indie author and filmmaker?
When I get an idea, it kind of gnaws at me until I release it out. It won't leave me alone.
Yeah.
So it's always good to I never get that I never get that urge anymore for Office Boys. That's done. It's out of me. Sons of the Severn, even I got to finish the story, but it's not as loud as it used to be, because it was really like you gotta start. And that's the thing right now with Sons of the Severn. I got another thing coming up, a sci-fi movie. it's in there. It's making it's where I have, I can keep it at bay for a little while, but
But you're gonna have to let it
I
out
think that,
later, another
yeah,
project.
eventually, absolutely. But I think that's the thing the cool thing about it, to answer your question in a roundabout way I do it. I'm sorry. Um, I think it's good when people the feedback. I think when you have people that appreciate it, because you spend a lot of time, a lot of weekends and time, filling plot holes, fix them, and just putting out something that you believe in. And then when people do believe, or they appreciate it, then that's the ultimate reward, is when people can relate to it and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's perfect answer. I love it. So, what's in store for the future? Any new goals or writing related projects? I know you're going to continue working on your fantasy trilogy.
Oh yeah. I'm finishing up actually Sons of the Severn. I'm taking a few months off right now because I said I'd take about 100 days off before I start part two. I actually did the first chapter because it came in my mind on how it was going to. I already know how the series ends, but that popped up, and then I said, Rory, stop. This is your time to kind of take off. And when you know why I took that time off, the sci-fi thing
Yeah.
came in.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, so that one will be 2024. I'll start that. But in terms of that, I'm gonna do a little traveling this late summer and fall, and then I'll get back to work. I'm gonna get back in there and do what I do. Yeah, I think that's basically what I'm gonna what you, people can expect from me. More stuff down the road. Yeah.
Sweet. Keep writing. That's awesome. Well, that was pretty much all the questions that I had for you today. Do you have any closing words that you'd like to share with our audience?
I guess I would say thank you for the support and the projects, and I would look forward to providing more content in the future. I guess that would be mainly the message.
Yeah. For sure. Sweet. Well, I love speaking with you. I'm so excited to follow your author journey. And for everybody who's watching, check out the video description where you'll be able to find DL Blackburne's websites, his Instagram pages, and where you can buy his books and support him as an author. So thank you so much for your time. Again, love speaking with you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Sweet. Bye.
Bye.